And good afternoon. My name is Ryan Belmore. I am the owner and publisher of What's Up Newp. Today is Wednesday, October 19th, a big day that we've been telling you about over the last couple of weeks because early voting opened today. Early voting is open today through Monday, November 7th. General election is Tuesday, November 8th. Vote.ri.gov is a great place to go to. You can find out where you're registered to vote. You can find out where you can early vote. You can find out where you're going to vote on November 8th. And my favorite part is you can see your sample ballot. You enter where you are registered to vote. Sample ballot comes up. And in this case today, we are talking about Newport. You're going to see all of the candidates that are running everything from Congressional District 1 all the way down to, not down, but all the way over to Newport School Committee. You're going to flip it over, and then you're going to have 10 questions. Newport has 10 questions on the back. Three are statewide, and then the others are all local issues. And joining me today is Newport Mayor Jeanne-Marie Napolitano, and there she is. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
It has been a little while, and we appreciate you joining us.
Yes, I appreciate being here. Thank you so much.
You are at City Hall, correct?
I am.
Anybody coming in to early vote?
There's been a few people, but not many. Many. And I think they're just beginning to understand. We do have the signs up in the hall. You can vote now. So if they choose to come in, they certainly can vote early. It might make it easier. We don't know what the weather's going to be November 8th. And today is beautiful.
Yeah. If look, people have to, there's a couple things people have to do. We can only do so much for them, but they need to look at their ballot. They need to make sure they're registered to vote. They need to study. But if you think you might be traveling or something, don't miss your opportunity. Even if there's a possibility that you won't be able to vote on November 8th, vote ahead of time. And it's a great opportunity. So hopefully
it is such an easy process. I did it during the primary. And it was so easy, and they were so helpful. It's on the second floor of City Hall. However, we do have the elevator. And if people come in on the ground floor next to Thompson, they'll go straight to the elevator and take the second floor.
Second floor. And that is the Board of Canvassers, and most voters in Rhode Island, you will go to your Board of Canvassers to vote. So vote.ri.gov. What's new? You decided that you are crazy enough to run for re-election again.
I know. Do you believe that? But you know what happens, and it's happened to me repeatedly. And I just realized I have been involved in all three schools, the elementary, the middle school, and now the high school. I said, whoa, but I just, am very excited about it. And I really hope that we can turn the corner on this one, because certainly the kids need a safe drive, warm school, but there's other benefits involved.
Yeah, and Pell, the expansion at Pell is done, completed, opened. Rogers is on the way, and if you're reelected, you could potentially be a part of a regional school district. So now you're going to add a fourth school. Not that you would supervise over any changes to Middletown, but you'll have a whole new school district.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the stumbling points or stumbling blocks in the beginning. And it was so good because the manager, the attorneys, both managers and the attorneys had worked it out so they balance the school representation, the school board representation, and the finance committee. Each has 7 members. However, the alternate member, one will be from Newport, say school committee, and the 4th rep would be from Newport. With the finance committee, it would be totally the opposite. It would be Middletown. So we really wanted to balance the issue because I feel we really want to move forward together. and move forward for the kids. We just have a lot of opportunities here. We are having a presentation at CCRI on Monday. I think you're aware of that, from 6:30 to 8:30 for all residents from Newport and Middletown.
And of course, the mayor, you're talking about question number 5 on the back of the Newport ballot. And of course, there's a question on the Middletown ballot as well.
Correct.
It's about a regional school district, and a quick reminder for folks, it has to pass in Newport, and then the 2 questions in Middletown also have to pass. So we need
Correct.
3 passes here. I'm trying to come at this so people can understand.
I know.
I'm trying to get rid of and provide the most helpful stuff here. Why do you think right now in this plan is the right plan moving forward?
Well, I actually thought the right plan was presented a few years ago. All I wanted was a discussion. I was the one that asked to go on the Middletown docket to at least discuss the possibility of regionalization. When that didn't pan out for Middletown, and it's been explained many times with the building committee, and they had cut it back. And when Middletown went to RIDE said, no, we're not going to fund this at that amount. Then they had to go back to the drawing board. And when they went back to the drawing board, RIDE presented to Middletown an option of merging the districts, which means we still will have our high school. They will build a high school. And I believe it's going to be connected by an auditorium, and the middle school is going to be on the same property. So then it's considered fewer schools for them. And they would build a new elementary for all their students in Middletown. So they will have 3 schools, and we will have 3 schools.
Are you hearing from the majority of people out there that they support this?
It's funny. I have heard from people in Newport. I have heard from people in Middletown, and particularly the ones that have asked the questions, which has been kind of exhausting, about, the reimbursement. We have been guaranteed by the state of Rhode Island to be reimbursed at 50.5% for what we have now and completion of Rogers. If we merge the districts, and what we're speaking of is merging administration, they have offered us 80% reimbursement for our school buildings. And that's a big difference. It's a big difference to the taxpayers, and it can and should be a big difference to the students, because we have also passed a resolution that we'd like to set aside some of that savings and put it to the schools for programs that they may need, for staffing, for any number of things. Newport really deserves a great education, and both communities have been strapped in terms of what they're willing to pay for schools. The Hispanic population has grown tremendously, not only in Newport, but even more in Middletown. And it's important that at some point we have to have bilingual teachers. We have to have a way of assimilating these students into all the programs that are being offered at the schools.
Mayor, help me understand this. The train has already started on Rogers. We've already voted on Rogers.
Correct.
Would it change from 50% to 80% on Rogers as well? Because it's not
on Rogers and Pell. Okay. Yes.
Even though Pell is completed.
Right. 80.5. Yep.
Help me in the most helpful way
Yeah.
Bring the people from the reject side that say this was rushed. We don't have all the information about educational opportunities, that we need
Right.
more information. Help me bring them to your side.
Yes. We have requested from the superintendents, both Colleen Germain and Rosemarie Krager, a list of opportunities that they may be able to implement if they had additional funding, which is why we are really asking that a portion of these funds, and it was voted on by the council, be directed back to the schools so that we have the money to offer the programs they want to offer. They want expanded P-TECH. They want to maybe incorporate an agriculture and aquaculture technology in. They want pre-K for all students. And right now, there are real tight budgets when it comes to all these extras. And I certainly think that there's an opportunity to keep the tax rate reasonable. I'd like to keep families in Newport. When I explain this, I've had a number of them say, well, it's going to cost us so much after they realized that it was approved at 50%. Why wouldn't we vote for this at 80%? If you're telling us going to improve, for the taxpayers, they'll be paying less, but the school departments will be receiving more money. Middletown voted likewise for that resolution, and their vote was 7-0. So,
maybe I can support your answer there a little bit. Is
sure.
A detailed report where $1 million is going to go towards pre-K, $2 million is going to go to VOTEC. That kind of report can't exist because Newport City Council can't do what to future government.
Well,
you can't tie their hands, right? You can't.
Well, that is from council to council. However, after November 3rd, after the vote, if in fact all three of these votes are approved, and I'm talking Middletown for their buildings, for the regionalization, and I think they have one more in there. If all three are approved, and then Newport voters approve regionalizing the district with Middletown, that's when it would take effect.
Yeah. What I was trying to get there to support your reasoning was you can't tell this new school district or the next council how to spend money or commit them to spending money in a certain way.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it would be foolish, knowing how much is involved, for any new council member that maybe doesn't understand this whole process to say, no, I'm not going to vote to give the school back any money. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Our test scores aren't what they should be. And I don't blame the teachers or the staffing. They're absolutely wonderful. But I do know that education costs money, and this is a golden opportunity for us to give them the predictable income over the next 25 years. I'm absolutely committed to doing that. And can it be, will it hold over the balance of the 25 years? If the next council votes to do it, I believe that we can establish an ordinance for that.
And I'll let people know, I've been interviewing Portsmouth candidates all week, and all of them are watching what happens here. One candidate proposed that he thinks somewhere in the future there can be regional school district for Newport County, with 3 high schools, 3 brand new high school-ish. So the candidates in Portsmouth are all watching what happens with this question, as if it passes, they will then have the oldest school on the island, and then
Right.
the whole thing
Right.
kind of shifts here a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
and we can add additional programs, and students would be able to go to either school depending on the programming. A perfect example right now is Councilman or Council Chair Paul Rodriguez's son goes to Newport half a day. He goes to the Voc Tech program, loves it. However, when they send their child now to a different school, the city or the town has to pay for them. If we were a district, we wouldn't have to pay for kids going to Middletown if they wanted some sort of AP class, or coming to Newport if they wanted another type of AP class. And I think what we've heard over the years is that some classes aren't considered because there's too small a group that wants to take it. So it kind of gets pushed down the list of I want, and the classes didn't materialize. So there's all sorts of opportunities, particularly for the kids, and we want kids that are well educated and prepared for those opportunities in Newport in the future. I think you realize that with Innovate Newport and the North End, which we're trying to create an environment where some of these businesses will be located. They're high-paying, year-round jobs. And I just think it's a win-win all the way around.
Mayor, what makes you, earlier this year, I'm going to assume, or it could have been earlier, or what makes you decide to put your name on the ballot once again, to do another term, to stay in this craziness and talk to me all the time?
And people ask me that quite a bit, but I've got to tell you, Newport is so welcoming. And I'm not only talking from the standpoint of people coming from out of town, but they're also volunteers all over this city that do things to beautify our city, the garden clubs. There are volunteers for both the jazz and the folk festival. There's volunteers for every activity that we do. And they give so much of their time and so much of their energy and talent. I don't care if they're 20 or 50 or even 70 or 80. They're out there doing it day in and day out. I'm amazed. I am in awe of the Newport community and the amount of volunteers and the work and things that get done. A perfect example would be the Broadway Street Fair. We had thousands of people. We had bands. I saw people I haven't seen in a few years. I saw Middletowners, people from Portsmouth and elsewhere. And they came up to me and they said, wow, this is so great. The next day we had the Italian parade. So there's always something going on here. It has so much vitality. I enjoy it, to be honest. I enjoy it. Not always.
Well, just last weekend, the Bowensdorf Seafood Festival, the
Absolutely.
Newport Craft Beer and Food Truck Festival, the Pell Bridge Run, the Potter League Walk for Animals at Fort Adams.
Absolutely.
Keep going. How do you balance all of that fun with residents in life and people just wanting to live here?
Well, a lot of our activities, and I'll take the bridge, and I'll call it the bridge walk because I walked it, not the bridge run. But it has grown over the years. There were thousands of people there, and it was the most beautiful. I'm not sure I would have wanted to do it in the snow or the rain, but it was absolutely gorgeous. 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning to come over that bridge and to see all these people out there, and they were smiling and they were talking to each other, and they came from everywhere. And it gives you energy when you see that kind of activity. And I want to be a part of it. I've worked a long time in, I have a lot of uh, not only respect for the people that participate, but for all the different entities that contribute to the vitality of Newport. And I think that's part of the reason I thought, what do I want? What am I going to do if I'm not on it? And it made sense. It made sense.
If voters in Newport approve question number 4, there will be a whole new business. There could be a
Yeah.
whole new business industry in Newport, and that is cannabis.
Yeah.
We're obviously, here it is. It was passed
Yeah.
in General Assembly, sent down to each town. Each town
Yep.
can decide whether to put it on the ballot.
Yep.
Where are we putting those businesses if it's approved in Newport?
I know where I don't want it if it's approved.
Where's that?
First ward. And if it does, maybe next to the pornography shop. I don't know. My thing is, we have a place in Portsmouth, and a number of people had called me from Portsmouth when that whole thing was, when they had that. They were telling me they couldn't park on their street. I talked to a number of the people there, and the cars were lined up and the traffic was bad. And I felt bad for them. I'm in Newport. If, in fact, it were to be approved, they'd need a good traffic pattern and a lot of parking. I'm not sure where they'd find it in the first ward. Might be better if we look if they came to me and said, "You got your board,"
Yeah, that's a tough one. I've talked to a number of Portsmouth counselors over the last week, and a couple of them have said, they're going to have to move because of the traffic issues, and so it is something certainly to consider. The proper placement if that type of business was to be put in somewhere.
Well, the other thing that they asked this question at one of the forums, and I said no. I said I'm not going to support it. And the reason I said it is not only what I described to you, but also we have a Navy base. They have big signs up. If marijuana is not allowed on the U.S. Navy base. I mean, we'll be dealing, hopefully in the future, with some of these contractors. They have to abide in those rules too. And I'm kind of wondering, would it hurt our employment? If we said, no, we don't want it. And I'm talking about employers. Would they say no if somebody said they were using? They'd have to. That's part of a government contract. They ask about the employees, just like the Navy does.
Mayor, if we'll finish out the ballot while we're there. Questions 6 through 10 are, I don't mean to diminish them, but small, pretty much administrative changes to the charter. Right. The Charter Commission brought you somewhere between 400 and 600 proposed changes. It was actually around 30 and 40.
Yeah. It was.
Are you happy with the number and what ended up on the ballot?
Well, part of my job is to build consensus on the council, and I felt that some of them probably should have been put in there and others not. And after talking to, feeling out the entire council, I knew the ones that, first of all, if you eliminate the wards, and make everybody at large, which I don't think is a bad idea. Immediately, you have 3 counselors upset in the wards. I think maybe something a couple years from now, when we have a chance to see, how the city is working, a more deliberate attempt at the charter review. You do it, you have to do it it's in the ordinance every 10 years, or try to. However, a number of people with the last mayor had asked for a charter review, and it didn't happen. So, that's one of the things that I asked for. They did work long, hard hours. They did get charter proposals. Most of them were really wordsmithing for the most part. The major ones, I really didn't make it.
Was there any one particular one that you wish was on there?
First of all, well, I had answered I didn't believe in term limits. I think we have term limits. You just don't vote for the person. But I'll tell you, I would have liked to have seen something about staggered terms, because I think it's a real mistake to have everybody running at one time. You need some continuity. You need some corporate knowledge to stay on with different councils. And we've seen what's happened when an entire council, does not get voted in. It takes you at least your first term to even understand everything that you're doing.
Trying to do quick math here, but
Yeah.
to support your this year, there could be as few as 3 new counselors, Ward
Correct.
3, as well as the 2 openings. And if for some reason you, as well as Vice Chair Segley, weren't, it could be as many as 5.
Sure.
So
Sure.
you're saying for the historical context and to keep things,
And the corporate knowledge and the way to do things. And some of that was truly people kind of dismiss that, but it takes a while. It took me 6 months. I did a lot of voting. I did all my voting when I first was elected. I didn't open my mouth until it came to one issue. And when I said, hey, I don't think this contract is fair to the citizens of Newport. Boy, it was like E.F. Hutton talked. You could hear a pin drop in the room, and it was like I found my voice. We wound up redoing the contract and presenting it a month later and passing it for a heck of a lot more money. But it's a little bit intimidating when you first come onto council, and it takes a while to learn learn how to work with others. And also, it's important that you have contacts upstate, because a lot of the things that come down, all of a sudden people will say, oh, where did that come from? Well, they voted on it upstate. Well, why didn't you object? Because we didn't know about it. So I've made it a point to know our legislators, not only statewide, but federally. And
I'd like to see staggered terms sometime in the future, where
yeah,
people every 2 years there'd be some kind of
shifting,
shifting.
Well, it could be, but I also think longer terms.
Mhm.
I really do. I think they should probably be 4-year terms, because no sooner do you get on that you got to turn around and start, campaigning again and raising money and all that. Even a 3-year term, 3 years with staggered terms, I think would be a good idea.
Mayor, I've interviewed just about every candidate for Newport City Council at Large.
Mhm.
So you might have to deal with 3, 4 new people. All these individuals have all of their big, grand, great ideas. I've enjoyed every single conversation.
Yeah.
How do you build consensus in also, how do you work with 3 or 4 new people?
Well, you got to call them, and you got to meet with them, and I think it's more important as the mayor to make sure that you're in constant contact with the body that you're working with. It is extremely important that you put out the correct information to the public. But when you're dealing with the public, and if I spent all my time dealing with the public and never consulting with the council, I mean, that's to me not real leadership. You need to do both, and you need to be very judicious in the way you do it, because you don't want to say things that get people's hopes up and then you can't deliver. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I will be the first to admit it.
I've asked this question of somebody else who has served a couple terms. How do you sit up there and make a decision that is best for Newport, but that all of Newport doesn't support?
Oh, I've done a couple of those.
Yeah.
Parking. That's how long I've been here. Parking meters.
Some people support it, others
Yes.
don't, but how do
Yep.
you make that decision? This is in the best interest for everybody.
Yeah. Well, not only have I raised my family in Newport, but also my business, when I was in the insurance business. So I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people that not only visited Newport, but also lived here. And even when I was just first ward councilwoman, they would call me up about a problem in their ward, whether it was at the time, I think there were 4 wards. And I'd immediately call the counselor in that ward and relay the issue to them, tell them that I'll work with them if we can come up with a solution. So, I mean, that's really, it's very important that a council can work together, to move Newport and Newport's families forward.
I just realized I've been in these meetings, I think all day, every day. But there's a workshop tonight.
Yes, there is.
I thought about it because I just got the agenda for next week's meeting. But
Right.
Tonight's about Easton's Beach.
Correct.
The next one is about. I'll have to look that one up. Oh, the 2-tier tax system.
Oh yes, yeah, and that should be a good one.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that, because I think if people can understand that a little bit more, they might know the benefits of it.
Right, and I have been talking with our attorney Chris Bean about some of the language. I know I can talk from my perspective. I know there are people in Newport that have 2-family homes that live in their homes and rent the other one for additional income, whether it's to pay taxes or, any other needs, put a kid through college or anything like that. And I respect that. And I believe they should continue at a residential rate. However, in the past few years, what we've had are a number of people that move here for either second homes, second homes, will fix the place up, get rid of whoever they had for a tenant, want to charge an arm and a leg, want to do Airbnb, and without ever consulting neighbors, without ever telling the city that they're an Airbnb, taking parking spaces in what little parking spaces some neighborhoods have, inviting their friends because they paid for the weekend an arm and a leg. That's not fair. That's not fair. If they are operating as a business, they should be charged accordingly.
And that workshop will be held on October 25th, so next week at 5:30 p.m. in the
Correct.
council chambers at Newport City Hall, if people want to. And if you happen to be watching this live right now, Newport City Council will host a workshop on the conceptual plan for Easton's Beach reconstruction and renovation this evening at 5:30. Mayor, there's a million things we can talk about.
I know.
Were there any other priorities or things that you wanted to bring up?
Well, obviously, very, very close to my heart is the school. And I do think that it would be a benefit not only to the kids, but also to the taxpayers. And I think also the development of the North End. Some people act like the North End just came about in the last 2 or 3 years. I can tell you, I was putting in resolutions years ago. And I actually had some other council members say, "Oh, no, we don't want that developed. That'll affect our business downtown."
Yeah.
Not fair. Not fair. I'm glad that we're closer to getting it done. I am so thrilled with the new traffic pattern that the DOT has been developing. The DOT has been great in terms of having people out there directing traffic. I know it's a difficult time around Newport right now, but you got to understand for a couple years, we really haven't been able to do the kind of work that we needed to do on our infrastructure. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to really seeing some movement, not only in the development of the North End, finishing some of the traffic. And the other thing I'd like to mention, beautiful bike path next to the rail line that goes right into Newport. And they did a great job along Connell Highway with the bike path. And I think it was really needed.
There is a lot going on over there. I drove it the other day, and the former Newport Grand, former Highlight, Carpianato property, whatever. I know they say they're going to announce plans soon. Any hopes in us seeing some changes there anytime soon that you know of?
Not that I know of, but they have been telling me they're going to present plans in the fall. We're there. We're there.
I asked that question
I call periodically. I want it as much as you do,
Well, I try to respect that it is private property, and people
absolutely
can, sometimes you and I have definitely heard it when there is an opening space somewhere, and everybody has an opinion what should go there, and what should go there is it's private property, and so just wondering if there was an update. Mayor Jeanne-Marie Napolitano says a vote to approve question number 5, and one more time why people should fill in the bubble next to your name.
Well, I think I know I have a lot of experience, and I work hard for the families of Newport. I know what it's like to struggle raising kids, and particularly in this environment, Newport, with the inflation, the gas increases, and the homes that have been taken off the market. It's very difficult for families to try and find the appropriate place to live, and if they want to work in Newport. I will tell you that there have been some questions from people in Middletown, and suggesting that the needle seems to have moved somewhat, that they would like to see more housing there. And certainly they have the property, and it's just a matter of money and the will to do it. But it's important, if we're going to grow our economy, we have to have places for people to live.
And the toughest question of the day, Mayor, have you seen Hocus Pocus 2 yet?
Yes.
What do you think?
Love it.
I never knew Salem had the Newport Bridge in the background, all the aerial shots.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
I had brought my grandkids down. You know the haunted house they had built
Yeah.
or something. That was amazing. I think, and there seems to be a whole following for the Hocus Pocus, and I just am very excited about it. I want to bring the kids in to see the movie.
Excellent. Well, it's good and it's so great. I don't think Newport has played such a bigger role in a movie that I can remember. Where if you can recognize Newport
Right.
landmarks, you can.
Well, they had Amistad here.
Yes, correct.
And
Yeah.
what I will tell you at the time, I had lost the election for the first ward, I went at large and I lost. So I was helping with what's EBCAP. It used to be New Visions. And I used to run into Mel's to get a coffee before I'd go upstairs and sign 100 checks, whatever. And it was so funny. I see this guy all dressed up almost like Davy Crockett, a black guy. And I looked over and I said, oh, the UPS guy. And I heard this collective, oh my God, it was Morgan Freeman.
Wow. Look at that. That's
I
funny.
couldn't believe he started laughing. He really looked like the guy that used to make the deliveries or FedEx or one of them
Yeah.
out of the office. And he just laughed. Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll see some more films in Newport soon. So it is exciting and great to see.
Well, we have the Gilded Age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have the most beautiful vistas you can imagine. So I think we're beginning to make some inroads in that direction.
Excellent. All right, Mayor. Well, I know you need to get to a workshop, which
Yeah.
is a very exciting evening you have ahead of you. So good
Oh,
luck. Thanks for taking the time to chat, and we will do this again real soon.
Okay. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. So that is Mayor Jeanne-Marie Napolitano, who is on your general election ballot, which you can begin voting today, just downstairs from where the mayor will be meeting in a little bit at the Board of Canvassers. Visit vote.ri.gov. You can pull up what time the Board of Canvassers is open. Some of them, the hours vary a little bit town by town. And you can also view your sample ballot and see all of the things we talked about today. If you want to see this video again, rewatch it, share it, all available on What's Up Noop. You can also listen to it as a podcast. I want to thank you for watching.